Hello, welcome back to this episode of the MSR Workshop Does Science. I'm going to be teaching you all how to protect your lungs from dust. I'm also going to be clearing up some miscommunications about different types of filtration, and we are going to be talking about the coronavirus and how to keep you safe. So you won't want to miss this. Stick around. So on my table before me, I have a number of different types of dust masks. They are all different from each other, but they all do one thing in common, and that's filter out dust. I'm going to tell you the pros and cons of the different types, what's going to keep you the safest, not just inside your shop, but outside as well. And I'm also going to talk about the coronavirus a little bit and what's going to be the safest mask and the best mask for you to wear if you're in an environment that you want to ultimately protect yourself the most. So stick around. All right, guys, jumping right into this episode of the MSR Workshop Does Science. Let's get a few important things out of the way to start with. So the best type right off the bat of personal protective equipment, or PPE as people have heard it called, is the type that you use. Yes, some are better filtration than others, but if you have them at your disposal and you don't wear them, they aren't going to do you a bit of good. They're not going to protect you from anything because you're not putting them on. So that being said, let's jump right into the different types. So most common types of personal protective equipment shop filters are just the cloth paper masks. Well, they work, they don't filter out as high of particle size and everything. And the particle size that we're going to talk about today is called microns, and that's how small the particle is. Particle size goes really, really small. Of course, the bigger the particle size, the less it's going to filter out. So if you have a mask that, say, filters down to 3 microns, that's going to be a fairly large size particle. Now, if you have a mask that filters down to 1 micron, 0.1 microns and smaller, that's going to be really, really tiny, and that's going to start filtering out some of the viruses that we're exposed to today, whether it be the flu or the coronavirus itself. Starting off with, right in front of you see, this is a filter that I got a long time ago from Woodcraft. I don't believe they carry it anymore. I have not been able to find it. You might be able to search somewhere online. This is called an air cap, and this is a positive pressure, either positive pressure or negative pressure filter. What do I mean by negative pressure, positive pressure? Correct me if I'm wrong, somebody in the comments thread, I get confused between the two. Is that it's drawing in air through this filter head here, and then it blows over your face. And so when you're inhaling air, it's air that's coming through these filters and not from unfiltered area. So you're constantly blowing air over your face, so you're not sucking in particles from the outside. So this does a very good job. This is a 2-stage filter, meaning you have a pre-filter on the top, which is just a little cloth filter that you can take and wash out, and then it has a canister filter of some sorts. Now, I'm not sure if this is a HEPA filter inside or just a regular high-grade pleated filter. But if you were to go, say, to Lowe's and you buy one of those paint mask booth filters, you'll notice that it has different types of canisters that you can buy. So it say will filter out certain types of vapor, or if you're working in an environment that contains, like an industrial environment that contains grease and oils, you need to get ones that are rated for doing greases and oils. So I'm going to write on my board here, and we are going to talk about some of those different ratings. So stay with me. If you need to write something down, feel free to pause so I can explain everything as clearly as possible. So I've written down a few things on my little whiteboard here, and I'm going to talk about them. So you'll notice these numbers, or these little letters to be exact, written next to some filters that you can find at your local hardware store or even your medical supply store. So the N and the R and the P. So the most common ones that you'll probably see are these P rated filters. And the P are standing for oil present in the work environment. So for instance, you've probably seen the cartridges with the pink type of canister, and it says P100 on it. So the P stands for present, and it can able to filter out particles with oil in it, and this is recommended for use in industrial environments where oil is present. Now you can use it in environments where oil is not present, but this is the recommended one for using in continual oily environments. The N is the one that means don't use it with oil present environments because it's not going to filter out properly. The R is one that you can use. It's sort of recommended, but it has a lifespan. Now, all of these obviously have a lifespan, how long you can use them with your manufacturer, but the P is going to be the best one for using where if you're going to be spraying with any type of oil or base lacquers, or you're in a machining type environment where you're dealing with stuff that has oil in that, particle size. Now, the particle size that we're going to be talking about is rated in microns. Micron is the little tiny thing. And your typical wood dust size is about 10 microns. That sounds pretty small, but it isn't really small. Most part, the dust size that you're going to be dealing with in a typical woodworking shop is going to be about 10 microns. So you don't have to have some high, crazy filtration mask that's got HEPA filters built into it, and it can go to the 0.1 microns or something like that. You don't need that. But it is good to have a mask that can filter a little bit above and beyond in case you want to do something else, just to protect yourself. Now, the coronavirus, let's talk a little bit about that. The coronavirus is 0.12 microns, and that is going to be really small. The little symbol for micron is this funny looking little U here with an M next to it. Don't get me what the U means, but it's microns, so you'll just have to trust me. Coronavirus is 0.12 microns. So this here is an N95, and I'm sure a lot of you, if you've watched the news has talked about N95 masks with the medical field. These make great shop masks because they do filter out everything probably that you're going to see in a typical shop, but they fit really tight and they're not the most comfortable things in the world to wear. So the N95, what does that stand for? So the N, remember, N is a no oil present environment. The 95 stands for 95% filtration down to 0.3 microns. So let's write that down on the board so you can see that. So N95 filters to 0.3 microns. So let's clear up some confusion about the coronavirus here for starters. The N95 is a recommended PPE for people that are exposed and continually exposed to the coronavirus. But if the N95 only filters down to 0.3 microns and the coronavirus is smaller than that, am I really filtering out the coronavirus? And the answer is yes, because that particle is just the virus itself. That particle has to be suspended in something, whether it be saliva or a sneeze or a moisture particle, which is much, much bigger. And so this filtration size is going to be more than effective at filtering out the coronavirus. But if you're concerned and want to take it one step farther, the next solution would be going to a HEPA filter. But it depends on the HEPA filter. So the HEPA filter in this particular mask here, which I'm going to talk about, and I will leave the links in the description below, has an H13 HEPA filter. And this filters down to 0.21 microns, and it is 99.95% effective, where the N95 is 95% effective down to 0.3 microns. So yes, so 95% effective down to 0.3 microns. 99.95% effective down to 0.2 microns. So your effective number is much higher and your particle size is much smaller. So this is going to give you a much better filtration. So somebody asks, well, I've worn a dust mask before and I can still smell things through it. Well, that's true, because most scent particles are actually even smaller than that. So let me give you an example. Tobacco smoke goes all the way down to 0.01. Let me write that down. That's our number for a smoke particle, like tobacco smoke. That's why you can smell things through your respirator masks. And you're thinking, oh, if I can smell it, I'm not being protected from viruses. Well, this is actually smaller than the coronavirus, so don't worry. That's one confusion. Just to give you a few other examples. Let's go to a big particle size. Let's go to 5 microns. Cement dust, that one goes down to 0.5 to 1 microns. Asphalt paving, flour mill dust, and pollen. Pollen's ones we're exposed to every day. Pollen is actually a larger particle size. And this starts at about 2.5 microns. So if this goes down to 0.21 and your pollen dust starts at 2.5, this is going to 100% filter out all pollen dust. Sand tailings, so if you're dumping sand out of a kid's sandbox, for instance, that starts at about 25 microns, so much larger particle size. Paints, we all paint within our shop. Pigment paints, so that starts at, those are actually pretty small, so a lot of times you can smell your paints. So let's see, 0.25 is where paints start, and that goes all the way up to about 2.5 microns, so it gets quite a bit bigger. There's a pretty good range there, but paints start at a pretty small particle size. Atmospheric dust that you're exposed to every day, that's pretty small, so you're not going to be able to filter all of that out, but that almost goes down to 0.05. So pretty tiny. So while it's not going to make your air come out the most pure thing on this earth, you are still going to be filtering out, one, you're going to be filtering out wood dust, because that goes down to, starts at about 10 micron. Yeah, you'll get a few smaller particles in that, so that's why most dust masks for home shops are going to go finer than that. But for the most part, you're going to be filtering out smaller stuff. Now, setting this stuff aside, let's talk about this guy here. This is my personal PPE mask that I use at a hospital, but you could also use it in a shop. And what it is, it's a brand called Atmoblue. It's spelled A-T-M-O-B-L-U-E, like the color. And what it is it's a powered respirator. You have a silicone gasket that goes over your face here, and it conforms really nicely to your face, and then it runs off of a battery. You have 2 magnetic H13 HEPA filters. So remember, our H13 HEPA filters go down to 0.21 microns, and it's 99.95% effective, down to really small particle size. So this is going to be higher filtration than your standard issue PPE for coronavirus patients at a hospital. These little cartridges are replaceable, so you just pull your cartridge out. And they fit nice and tight in here. And then you'll notice that you have a powered fan on either side. So what it is it's drawing filtered air through these dual fans, blowing it off over your face, and then you have a little exhale port at the bottom. Now I know some medical facilities don't want you to use masks with an exhale port. Now there's an easy solution for that. There is a 3D printer file that you can make a plug for this, and it fits right in. You can actually get online and buy the plug, or even easier, there's just a small port inside that you can put a piece of tape over, and that will block this port, and so all the air that you exhale, you actually blow back through the filters. Now, it's not going to make it as easy to breathe through, but with the port unblocked, this thing works fantastic. Now, it's got 3 fan speeds on it. It's got a slow, medium, and high. And let me turn this on. You hold the button down. It's quite quiet. That's low, medium, and high. Click it again, it goes back down to low. This is something that I trust with my health to protect me from the coronavirus. Now, if the coronavirus is not your concern, but you just want the ultimate protection for you at your home shop, this might be a good bet. Now, because it filters so fine, I don't know what the life expectancy of it would be in a home shop where you are producing a lot of wood dust, where it would clog this filter up pretty quickly. Now you can buy boxes of filters. I don't remember how many comes in a box. I'll be sure to leave that in the link below. And this is something that you could probably take the cartridge out and just blow it off with your air hose and throw it back in. Now, as far as comfort in wearing this, there's 2 straps. One that goes the way they say to use it is one at the back of your neck and then one at the top of your head. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on. Hopefully you can still hear me. And then you would tighten it. And you can see that it fits really good around my face and produces a nice seal. Now, this way I don't particularly like wearing, because the back of the neck, when you lift your head up, it makes this strap tighter, and when you loosen your head and you make it go down, it makes it a little bit looser. And the problem with that is these 2 straps are connected to each other. They're not independent of each other. And so one way I've found to make this a little bit more comfortable, and it doesn't change the tightness of this with head positioning, is to wear both of these straps on the head. And I'll go ahead and show you that now. So I'll go ahead and put both straps on the top of my head. So all of the weight is held with these 2 straps up here. And then I can move my head in any direction and not worry about it coming loose or falling off. It's not very heavy. It's got a little bit of weight to it. So extended use, you might feel like it weighs down just a little bit here. But it is still immensely more comfortable than wearing one of these guys. And I've weared one of these for hours on end working at a hospital. And I'll tell you what, breathing through an N95 and how tight these fit, they'll instantly give you a headache if you're sensitive to any kind of pressure on the bridge of your nose or around your face. Now, this is very easy to breathe through because a HEPA filter is a multi-pleated style filter. So you have all these little pleats. It allows air to get in really, really easily because it has a large surface area. Whereas these, it has multiple layers of fabric. And so breathing normally through these is quite difficult. But overall, I really, really do like this. Everything you can take apart on this. So you can take the filters off. This shield on the outside, you can pop off. And because it's silicone right here, it's soft, but it's also easily cleanable. So you can clean it with, your disinfecting wipes, with alcohol, with probably whatever your hospital uses. If you're not using this in a hospital, I'm saying hospital stuff because, you know, this is going to be the highest filtration that you'll probably find on a commercial market. They do make an H14 filter, which is even higher filtration, but that is only in industrial and commercial style HEPA filters. They don't get anything near that on this. It's an H13, but it's still very, very close to the same. As far as design changes, I would like to see them redesign this strap in the back where it would disperse a little bit, weight a little bit differently on the back of your head. I do find after long periods, sometimes I do get a little bit of pressure points on the top of my head where my head gets a little bit numb. But it's very comfortable to wear around every day, even if you're not working on a hospital. If you're just the normal guy going out and going shopping, but you still want to wear a mask, but you're concerned that those little paper masks aren't doing anything, definitely give these a look. Now, it runs about $125, so it's a little bit more pricey. On the lowest fan speed setting on this, I believe I'm getting about 8 hours of battery life, which is quite a long time. Most people won't wear this that long. But the key to any of these masks is, one, wearing a mask in an environment that you need to wear a mask. So if you're going to be exposed to shop dust, saws, anything where you're worried and concerned about your lungs, because without your lungs, we can't live. I hate to say it, but we can't. If you're in a big crowd of people, you want to go to a concert and you're worried that, hey, I'm concerned about the coronavirus still. I'm not one of those people that are ready to go out in public without the mask, but I feel that my paper mask isn't doing its job. Also, definitely get this a look. The other important thing about masks is how good they fit. So those paper masks, you have huge air gaps on the side where you're sucking in all the air, and if you're reusing them, the front tends to get a little bit more clogged, and then it doesn't let any air in from the front, and it's all coming in from the side, which is not filtered air. So these at a hospital, you would normally go in and get fit tested for to make sure that you have a good seal over your face. Because if you don't get a good seal, you have big air gaps, it's not effectively filtering anything. This, because it's a silicone seal, it will conform to your face and you really will get a great seal on this. So it fits to most face sizes. I can't say 100% everybody because, you know, there's some weird looking faces out there. But that's the other thing, is getting a good seal. If you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, or just want to educate me some more, be sure and leave those comments below. I will do my best to leave any links to all of this stuff I've talked about. Unfortunately, this guy I don't believe is made anymore. There may have been somebody that's picked up the design afterwards, and that may just be something that you've got to search for. But I appreciate it, guys. Be sure and hit that like and subscribe button, and stay tuned for the next video. Thanks.